Okay, so False Memory Syndrome Foundation was started by Pamela and Peter Freyd. And Peter was accused by his daughter Jennifer, who still has not recanted to this day. Okay, this was back in 1992 when the foundation was started. She accused him of abusing her very seriously for a long time when she was young. And well, old Miss Pamela, she just could not let the world know what her dear husband did. So she went and she created literally a pedophile charity organization. And in the
I've seen this.
first,
I've seen this move over in Britain. I've seen this move over in
yeah,
Britain.
yeah, exactly. It's there's nothing new under the sun, so to speak.
It's okay.
Um, and in the first publication, the first printed article, because it's not in the archive that's very hard to find, but someone found one of the original copies of their first monthly circular. And she notes, Miss Pamela Freyd, how do we know that we're not defending pedophiles? Let me tell you her reasoning. Because we have graying hairlines, we're dressed nicely, we look nice, and we're people that you would want to be friends with. The second reason, a polygraph that they feel that they shouldn't have to take because they know in their heart that they're innocent.
Oh, that hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
completely insane to me that this was allowed to fly. And so, in all of these really old circulars, you start to see, I think it's like maybe maybe a year in, year and a half, that's when you start to see all of these psychologists and psychiatrists flocking. There were a couple that were there very early on, but we start to see some spooks get involved, some spooks that were heavily involved with the repatriated prisoners of war from Korea and the brainwashing stuff that they were going on, that they were involved with at the time. So once you see the money and the CIA doctors start to show up, that is when, I mean, from zero to 60. And they
Mhm.
note, and it's very interesting because I love reading stuff too. Like, I love going really deep and kind of seeing if there's certain areas where something's going on that maybe I should, drive my focus towards. But in every single circular, they keep track of how many, like the family count in every single state. So you get to see the numbers of families, just it goes through the roof.
Mhm.
It goes through the roof. And Miss Pamela was very notorious for slandering her daughter, falsely writing as her daughter, and
Something I've
recanting the
seen over
statement.
and yeah, it was seriously that's serious evil. It's
She
something I've
got a
seen over and
degree.
over again. Yeah, it's a degree in bloody uh, evil.
She
That's
got a
it's
degree that's the same as her daughter so that she could go and try to work with her daughter and get her daughter fired.
Whoa, that is so sick, man. Someone's got to be a sick. Oh, poor girl. I mean, at that point, you've got to realize that someone is trying to destroy themselves and is too much of a coward. So instead, just tries to destroy their own daughter. I mean,
Yeah.
that's basically the process, and it's not a surprise that someone like that would choose someone evil to be with, who would also do terrible things. And I mean, this is a reoccurring theme that you get is that it's not just men, it's
No.
men backed up by women, and the worst ones, the worst things that happen have like column A and column B working together, men and women working together to target children in loads of different ways, because men can be drawn in for base reasons, women are drawn in for a different type of power, a different type of control, and often as a way to expel their own trauma through projection onto another person.
Absolutely. I make sure to drive home the point that, that's why I'm doing different series on, the women of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation, because well-behaved women seldom make history. And these
Mm-hmm.
women need to be talked about because I would argue that women are just as, if not more dangerous, because they're the ones that you don't expect.
They're the
Um,
ones who can actually go to a school, pick up a child and no one would have any clue until it's too late. They're the ones who could get into all of those areas and not have a slight bit of extra suspicion, because the extra suspicion comes from something like what 8 times more likely to commit a violent crime if you're a man, and a lot more likely for that crime to be rape or sexual assault. And women, we just automatically assume they're the ones there to protect. They're protective. But yeah, I've known some really like evil people in my time, and some of them have been women. I think we've all experienced that, and when that's the case, they can get access to children. I mean, if all those stars align, you get someone like Ghislaine Maxwell out of it. If all those stars align, you get someone who can become really powerful amongst the men who are desperate for what that woman can provide. So can you imagine that, or at least the people at home, I'm sure you can imagine, that it's not about just the power over the child that they're abusing or seeing abused or they're selling off, or that that's it's the power to the men that have real power, that woman then brings something to the table that none of them can get anywhere else, and that power is like extreme. That's extreme. The men then will reward that woman massively. So if you find the right type of personality in a woman, you will see the worst of what evil can be. And there's
Absolutely.
a lot of people who think that the crime is much worse if it's a woman. There's a
I
lot of
think
people who feel
so.
like that.
I
Yeah.
absolutely think so because women are, I mean, whatever. Some people may not like it, but I'm sorry. Women are naturally born, to an extent at least, with a sort of protective instinct. And, not
Hmm.
necessarily, I won't say a maternal instinct, but I would say a protective one. And just the fact that, Mrs. Freud, I mean, really, she created a charity foundation and got the government involved to absolve her husband in the court of public opinion. And it's completely
That's
insane
extreme.
to me.
Yeah,
It's very extreme.
that's extreme, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, she's got a definite dog in the fight when she's doing stuff like that. I mean, that's amazing.